Okay, we're now over on the Aeon unit. Got the tag inside. We have two compressors. Know what we're supposed to do. I got the power off right here. Again, we basically do a visual. If you see any wires that look bad, we're gonna kind of look for any kind of burning or that. Contactors, I changed them obviously like 3 years ago. Pull the covers, they look good, so nothing wrong there. This unit has a BAS that's hooked up to it, so that means it's a building automation system, so it's kind of hard to control from up here. I'm gonna see what I can do. If we look at the compressors, what do we have here? Oh, we got one missing. Crankcase heaters, we checked those. This one was bad. I'm probably gonna just order two right away. The heaters usually are about 50 bucks a piece. So if I've got one that's bad, it's gonna save the customer money in the long run. If I come back next year and now all of a sudden this is bad just because of the labor costs, if they're only two, it's just not worth not changing both of them. Same thing, you can see what I did with my contactors. I changed them all. I don't think the condenser fan ones were that bad, but if I'm already up there doing it, the customer's going to save money in the long run. Basically, they're just paying for that. If I put these two in, they're basically just paying for the part on this one. So, not bad there. Let's go over here. I've got the blower compartment open. So we have our blower, motor, pulley, belt. I do the belts in fall. So this one's pretty tight, it's good. It's not squealing. If we did need to adjust it, there's some slots here on the side that we'll take down. Let me pull the ladder over here real quick. Busted the ladder out for you. Give you a little more angled view on this, or a better angle of view. Oops. There we go. So we have grease ports on our bearings over here and back there. Kind of a pain in the butt, but this unit, let me take that one out real quick. We're gonna want to get a little slack on here. This is Aeon's design. Kind of nice. Can become a little bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, but to each his own. We're gonna slide this bad boy out. The whole thing slides out. That whole blower is something. I'm going to back this ladder up. Now there's two reasons they do that. That's one, so that you can get at these fittings and shivs and blower wheel. The second is so you can get at the heat exchanger. The heat exchanger is right below here. There's not a panel like we had at on the other one. So we're going to slide this thing out. Careful of our wiring. Okay. Then I'm just going to stick my head in here and look at this heat exchanger. Let me get a flashlight. Let me run and get a flashlight. flashing lights. One other thing you kind of want to check is, see, like this shiv here is getting really thin and worn. The belt ride on it, it's actually getting sharp on the edge. So probably going to rate this one up. So you got to get the, I think I actually already have them written down. This is a BK 100 inch and 3/16 shaft. They're really hard to, I wish they did a better job stamping them into the casting, but oh well. So I'll probably order one of those up. The one up here, the variable pitch, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. This one's, I might just let that go through the summer and go to fall. It's not terrible, but maybe by that time, maybe this one might be a little more worn. This one for sure. Yeah, that one for sure. It's kind of up in the air decision whether I want to do that one or not. But yeah, that one definitely. This one, I think the motor's new on this one, and had been changed out. So. All right. So I already wiped down. I always wipe down my bearings. Get all the old grease off of there, and then when you do go to grease them, you want to make sure your zerk fitting is clean. You're gonna go like that, and if you can get it to spin while you're greasing it. Good. I don't put a whole lot of grease. I had greased a little bit of it before, but I don't put a whole lot of grease in there. The power one that I have, the Milwaukee, I give it about 8 to 10 clicks, and each click is usually about a pump. So come over here with a towel. Get that excess off of there. It's going to do nothing but run down and make everything in here dirty. So slide this back. Okay. Got 2 screws to lock the blower assembly down here. Let's look at the inside here. So here's our evaporators. Here's our liquid line filters. Okay, lots of distributors, big distributors there. TXVs, so we have TXVs on this one. Says right there, thermal expansion valve, filter dryer 1. It's nice that they label it so you don't get confused if you're working on one circuit. I'd like you to notice right here, we have these lines coming down, and they're bypassing the TXV. So what this is hot gas bypass, and they're using it for dehumidification. If you can look here, you see that? We got a coil over the top of another coil. And what they're doing with that one straight up is a dehumidification coil. It comes right off from the condenser. So it splits off in the condenser, comes here, comes back out right here. This is this valve right here, check valve right there. So there's if they're in dehumidification, what they're going to do is they're going to run some heat. If you have a dehumidifier in your basement, you run air conditioning, and then it uses the condenser. So it actually runs through evaporator and condenser right there. So what you're going to do is you're going to peel some water off of it, and then you're also going to heat it up. And you can tell because this coil is on the back side. Our air is coming through this way. So here are our filters. Okay, got some dirt on them. Those are going to have to get cleaned, looks like. It goes to the cold coil first, and then it hits the warm coil back here. So what we're trying to do is we're going to drop some of the moisture out of it. Okay, drop the moisture out. Okay, and then come back and then almost reheat the air a little bit here with this second coil if they're in dehumidification mode. So take the water out, then dry the air out even further with this coil here. Again, this is where we have our economizer. We have a damper motor there. Okay, right there is your smoke alarm. So what they do is they have a tube. You look back in here, that tube right there is sensing our return air, and see smoke, dust, it'll set off their fire system. So right there, return air smoke detector, economizer, damper actuator. So if the temperature's cold enough outside, it's going to start pulling in air from outside and not run our mechanical cooling. So let's button these things back up. All right. All right, let me grab this ladder and go over here. Okay, compressors, control panel. Okay, again, before we reached in there before, again, we made sure that we took our meter, powered everything down, did the visual on the capacitors. Condenser fans are up there. Let me pull this one cover off for you. Over here. something over by the condenser here. Okay, so we have access in the side of the condenser. This is for cleaning and servicing. So the reheat coil valve, those were the two lines that came in by that second evap that was inside for heating. So we have our main discharge lines that come in through here, okay, and we're going to either feed a little bit back here and then back in past this one. Discharge goes in there. Obviously it's hot, so it's going to heat that coil up. We've got, if you look at that valve, we've got a check valve arrow. So it's a stepper motor, drives up, adjusts the amount coming through and back. Same thing with that one. So those work those are synchronized with each other. And so as that one's opening, this one's going to close a little bit so that we force the refrigerant, the hot gas, to go where we want it to go, into that other coil. Okay, when it's not, we're going to close that one. This one will be 100% open, and bam, it's going to go through our condenser coil. Again, this is also for cleaning out, for getting at some motors stuff. There's one on each side, just a big square panel. All right, I'll put you guys back up here, and let me put that panel back together, and we'll do, hopefully we can get this in the test. This Aeon does not like to communicate a lot. Where that importance of being able to hang your meter in here comes in. So I'm going to check my line voltage coming in right there. Stand to the side, turn it on, kind of see what the unit does by itself. See what my voltage coming in is. 479, 480. If you ever got an off reading with one of the phases, you'd probably have to call an electrician and say, hey, you know, but it's something to just make a note of, that if you were to have a real bad imbalance, that could mess a lot of stuff up. Not just this, but anything that's going to be part of that three-phase. So, let's see if I've got my jumper wire. It's a little bit harder to jump these ones too. So let's start jumping by, see if I can jump the heat even. The Aeon does have a little issue with communication sometimes. Let's see what he wants to do. There it is. It's firing up the heat. The heat is down here. Hopefully do is fire on the heat enough that the air conditioning will come on all by its own. So if I get it nice and warm in there, then the air conditioning will just come on its own, and then I don't have to jump that out. That's kind of how I like to do this unit. trying to do is just to maintain a suction pressure. So we'll keep this on for a little bit. Like I said, hopefully we can warm the space up enough that they're going to want to call for cooling after we're done, and then we can wash and just let the cooling fire by itself. So it's firing on its own. These right here, so they have that pilot sensing. That senses right up into here, right into the suction line. And all that's doing is maintaining the suction line pressure so it stays above freezing. Okay, so our gas is shutting down. We'll let the thing run, and hopefully, what's nice on this one is I got a couple sight glasses so I can check my refrigerant flow and level. Now on this one you'll see those flash and clear up, flash and clear up, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be low on gas if they do flash and clear up, because the condenser fans will cycle. So we have a frequency drive up here. This is actually driving our indoor blower motor that we greased and looked at the belt before. A lot more complicated. That's where reading circuits and schematics is gonna help you a lot. This unit has been modified somewhat, so because there was never it was just a contactor before. We ended up putting a freak drive. Our controls guys did. I think that's when they upgraded the blower motor itself, and that was all an attempt for creating static pressure or building pressure in certain rooms. So we've had some other boards added. Those connectors are all added. Again, this one doesn't. This is all coming from the inside main control system, these wires up here. So this has all had to been added to make it work, this particular unit work with the control system that they have for the building. So let's see, maybe I'll have to jump out this cooling. We'll see. I'm going to put you back on the ladder and we'll see. While we know compressor 1 comes on, I'm just going to have to hold it on here. Dump it out 2, let's see what happens there. Okay, so I was able to see that the sight glass cleared up. You can kind of see it flashing now. Both the compressors come on. hopefully later in the day the AC will come on. Otherwise I gotta call the one guy and he can actually override this to on. But it's supposed to warm up today. So otherwise I'd check these both with them on. We'd look at the sight glasses. We'd check the condenser fan motors, and actually I already had those running the other day, so I know those are good. So that's basically, sometimes you run into complications like that where you can't get the stuff to run right or do what you want, but you got to do your best out in the field. We only have limited time per unit. You know, I can't spend all day on it. If there's any kind of questions, if let's say I had an issue where one of those didn't want to come on, I would check my high pressure safety right there. This is a fan cycle switch too, so this is going to keep the condenser fans off until we build up enough pressure. That's so it can run in a little bit colder weather. We have the same thing over here for compressor 1, where we have a high pressure with the manual reset there, and then this is our fan switch. We also have our low pressure switch back here for circuit 1, our low pressure switch for circuit 2. And one of the reasons that you don't want to just bump in the contactors is because when you do that, you're going to bypass all these pressure controls. And by me at least jumping it out up here, I know that when it came on and ran, that if say one of these high pressure switches or the low pressure switches would have opened, by me having it jump there, it would have still killed the power to our contactor, because we can read schematics. So right here, we're gonna have our, let's hope it gets in focus. Low pressure switch 1, high pressure switch 1. We've got a GOT switch. Well, let's find out what that is. I'm not exactly sure. So right here, we look at our it's kind of hard because I don't know how good that's coming. But this is gonna tell you, here's all our component legend right here on our schematics. It's alphabetical, tells us what our, let's go find our low pressure switch, LPS. We have 1 and 2, circuit 1 and 2. That GOT one is a guaranteed off timer. So that's built into the circuit board, I think. I don't, unless there's a time delay board up here. And all that's saying is that they want a minimum off time after the compressor run. Okay. Yeah, I think you're getting a little shadow on there. You can't see the blue as well. But we have what everything is down here. So if we look here, RASD, that's RASD, return error smoke detector. So schematics, very important to see how you can trace stuff out and to see why it's not working. If we have power here, don't have power there, then we know what's open, what we can start troubleshooting. So I'm going to end the video here. I'm sure you'll have some questions for me when we review it on Monday, but I'm going to get ready. I'm going to kind of wrap this one up and I'm going to go to the big one.